Washington, D.C. Back for another video. First and foremost, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah HaKwadash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who deserve double honors, therefore, who rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, all right, pushing the truth across the corners of this earth. All right, like I always say, you know, you got a lot of videos that are uploaded on a daily from everywhere, all right, and of course, this is for the edification of the hopeful elect of our people, all right. Yeah, so this is what we do. Because if you're paying attention, you know, with these prophecies and you're watching the real news, all right, you know that things could kick off at any moment. And what I mean by kick off, I mean this Third World War. All right, America has bitten off more than it can chew, apparently, which is what this video is going to go into. All right, like Jeremiah chapter 49 and 20 says about the least of the flock. So draw them out, and sure enough, and I'm reminded of the video that I don't know if I did a video on that. I was just, I posted it on the group chat. There was a conversation that was recorded of Benjamin Netanyahu back in, was it 90 or 91, where he said their plan all along was to destroy the United States because they hate this place. They hate you Americans. And unfortunately, well, you didn't get the memo in time. All right. And that's due in large part because of your Edomite / white supremacy has been used against you. Your Christian nationalism has been used against you for the benefit of the Ishis over there who hate your guts. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in rabbis, you know, dissing Christians, making mockery of you. Because really, you're so stupid. All right? You have nothing to do with the scriptures like the way you think. All right, so let's go ahead and get this copyright disclaimer out of the way. It says under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, of course, all of which I'm doing. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, fair use, fair use, fair use. So let's go to the site here. And it's like I always said, what has the American military, what have they won since World War II? And actually, they didn't do that. It was the Soviets, really. And then they turned around and screwed them. Anyway, this is the Trump report. Site dedicated to, guess what? Anyway, it says U.S. has suffered its worst strategic defeat since the Vietnam War. Yeah, there's a movie called Heaven and Earth. It is the third and what will be the trilogy, starting with Platoon and then Born on the 4th of July, and then this one completes it, Heaven and Earth. And it attempts to tell the Vietnamese side. Of course, you're getting this from largely Oliver Stone, you know, an American. But it's a good movie. Crazy ass Tommy Lee Jones. And a few others you might recognize. It's a good movie. But here it is. She made a good point in that movie talking about, I can't remember if it was whoever it was, brought up to the point about the Americans that he couldn't fight without their boots. And she turned around. She said, "Well, they can't be good soldiers, if they're, can't remember verbatim, but if they can't fight without their boots." But in any case, yeah, the world is seeing uh, America for what it really is, and pretty much paper tiger now. Most of these uh, colonial powers, the only real thing that they have is the nukes, which you understand why they're trying to prevent others, all right, from getting them. Um, Because this is um, how am I going to say? These people at heart are cowards, right? Um, yes, the blessing as far as the sword is given to them, all right. But again, when you read those chapters, Genesis 25 through 27, you get the idea about Esau's nature and therefore his descendants in chapter 36. All right, it gives you uh, the genealogy of Edom. Verse 8 in Genesis 36 says Esau is Edom. So it's not talking about just one person, it's talking about his descendants as a nation. All right. So let's go ahead and get this. And again, the boneheadedness of these amateurs in this administration is, and they always talk about DEI and affirmative action. All and see the thing that Jake, I would hope, would realize with all of this is that count your blessings. They're actually sparing you. Why would you want to jump on this bandwagon? All right, this ship that's sinking and sinking fast. Why? But see, this is Jake. All right, these people don't. These people understand Jake's position. All right, but here goes Jake. Just hey, you got them. All right, here we go. Whoops, hold on.
The Vietnam War.
All right.
And this may even become worse, a bigger defeat than the Vietnam War. Well, Iran has, in just 40 days, emerged as a rising fourth center of world power. And those facts, those strategic facts,
I hope you can hear us.
are represented by the fact that the United States and President Donald Trump have accepted, true as a basis for negotiation, but effectively have accepted a 10-point peace plan, which is all in favor of Iran.
Hello and welcome to the Middle East Report, your one-stop shop for all news coming out of the region, and I'm your host, Ali Raza Manji. The conflict is over, potentially, after a 2-week ceasefire was agreed between Iran and the United States, mediated by Pakistan. So where does this leave the region and the conflict at large? Let's speak to Professor Robert Pape from the University of Chicago, who joins us now. Hello to you, Professor.
Yes, hi, good to speak with you.
So, we've spoken before, so tell me now, what's your assessment now that this conflict is over, apparently, and who's effectively blinked first, I suppose?
This is not a ceasefire, this is a shift in global power. So what you are witnessing, and this is why it's unclear will the ceasefire hold, is a massive shift that has been occurring, and it will occur even more in the future, but it's a shift where the United States has just suffered its worst strategic defeat since the Vietnam War, and this may even become worse, a big defeat than the Vietnam War. Well, Iran has just 40 days emerged as a rising fourth center of world power. And those facts, those strategic facts, are represented by the fact that the United States and President Donald Trump have accepted, true as a basis for negotiation, but effectively have accepted a 10-point peace plan, which is all in favor of Iran, does not provide any strategic gain for any of the goals that the United States had before the war, and is doing nothing to reverse Iran's rising global power. Iran, of course, on the flip side, has gained the opposite. It has all of its enriched uranium. That is enough for 10 to 16 working nuclear weapons. It has effective control, and now effectively permanent control of the Straits of Hormuz, which means 20% of the world's oil. It can dictate the terms. And then over the months
really hate that.
And years, it will be able to take that greater oil revenue, that greater.
They really hate that when you think of how and when OPEC was founded. You think these so-called white elites like having to bow down to a bunch of what they call sand niggers? I mean, they got Gaddafi in 2011, finally. And look who they chose to do that. Obama, right? So now here again, you got all that power over them. They're dictating the terms. These motherfuckers' head about to explode. But myself, hey, I love it. Beautiful.
Power and almost surely fashion nuclear weapons. There is not going to be anything that the United States can do about that, or the world can do about that. There are no on-site inspections in this 10-point plan.
Another thing they hate.
They're not even mentioned whatsoever.
But that brings about
the fact is,
you're looking at hypocrisy, and everybody sees it. I mentioned it just about on the regular about Kennedy. This is what he was about, and it possibly could have gotten him killed. All right, you got to remember the times during the Cold War there. All right, everybody was focusing on the Russians. And here all along, turns out the one that was actually the more dangerous to you was the one you were, rubbing shoulders with. And it was those Israelis. Yes. And now, it's like they've got all these people that spies, whatever have you, that are in the United States government that are essentially running this bitch. All right. And yet, all you hear from these stupid, toothless fucks is, we're Russia gate. Wow. How stupid it be, right? I apologize for the delay. It's my system.
Iran has gained so much power that, of course, the next step would be to fashion nuclear weapons. You could expect maybe 6 months before the first nuclear test, maybe a year, but not 10, 20 years into the future the way we were thinking with the Obama deal some years ago. So these are the geopolitical realities. And this is not just about a ceasefire. Again, this is a new balance of power in the world.
Yeah, so to surmise that in some ways, this is not, you say it's the fourth sort of center of power. It's a strategic
I'm gonna cut this camera. It might be
as well. Now, Donald Trump, in the
overloading the
last
system
sort
here.
of hour or so, he said the United States will work closely with Iran, which has gone through what he calls productive regime change. He says there'll be no enrichment of uranium. And as you mentioned, that plan, that 10-point plan, so Iran has agreed to negotiate on some of the 15-point plan that was laid out by America, and vice versa, they've agreed to the 10-point plan. Now, the 10-point plan says $2 million per each ship leaving the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that's a huge change in what was going on before. That's right, isn't it, Professor?
That's right. That's the tactical, technical detail, but the implications are not just about the 2 million, which of course are real, but the implications are about power. You see, to be able to impose a toll or a tax like that, you need power. Think about it when we pay taxes to our government. If the government didn't have power to put us in jail, we wouldn't pay our taxes, or at least many wouldn't. And so the same thing here. The tax is a representation of the power of Iran, not simply judged in terms of dollars and cents. So, and the fact that President Trump is saying he will work closely with, oh my goodness gracious. So now he's kowtowing to Iran. That language is the language of
What did I tell you?
supplication. That language is on bended knee.
You know they
and
hate
that
that
is
shit
what you are
with a
seeing
passion.
as we go forward. Iran has the cards, to put it in President Trump's language.
Yeah, I think I read on your social media that you said power in this war did not come from size; it came from leverage over vulnerability. And
That's right.
now,
This is the way to understand it. We're so used to thinking that power must be measured in raw GDP, in how many tanks do you have. And notice that Iran lost all of its ships. It lost all of its visible conventional power, the way we would normally count this, and now controls the Strait of Hormuz and has effectively got its grip around the artery of the world, and it's extracting political gains from this. Well, this is telling you that those measures, those static measures,
Outdated.
they were always at best proxies.
Yep.
There is a more fluid equation here. And what you are seeing is a geography, the ability of geography plus, and that's
Which
not
they
just in the
benefit
Strait of
from. Yep.
Hormuz, but in the mountains of Iran, so that they can in fact
The layout of the land.
continue to threaten with these small number of drones, these small number of mines. The geography plus Iran and is creating risk and vulnerability, which equals power. That's the issue here.
There you go.
And the same would be true, by the way, of armies. Why do armies matter? They create vulnerability. Same basic idea of the concept, but the static indicators here have always been just proxies for vulnerability.
I want to talk about the strategic impact in a moment more specifically, but there is an argument that's been put forward now that this has shown the limits of US hegemonic power. The front page of the New Statesman, a magazine here in Britain, has said The Fall, how Trump destroyed the American empire. Others are comparing it to the Suez Crisis, which was, of course, the definition of when Britain sort of fell and found its place in the world in a different way. Is that something you see, or is that a little too far?
No, it's fairly right. I mean, this is a version of what I'm explaining is the biggest strategic defeat since Vietnam. Another way to put this is Donald Trump has long said he doesn't need and want any allies. Well, he's about to get his wish, and America is going to be stuck with this because who is going to want to ally in any serious way, in any way that matters
because Spain, Italy, France, and who else was it? That was it Germany? That told them that hey, you're not using our, our airspace or anything else, to stage your shit. So hey, you say you want to be alone, looks like you're gonna get your wish. All because of that rogue state of Israel. Wow.
their security with the United States when, number one, Donald Trump has made absolutely clear he's not protecting anybody whatsoever. He's not even barely protecting America's interests. He's not going to protect Europe's interests, and he's not going to protect Asia's. He's certainly not going to go on a limb for Saudi Arabia and MBS. So right away, everybody sees that, but it's even worse. He threatened to kill and annihilate 92 million people.
What was that statement from Henry Kissinger? He said, what was the quote? Oh man, to be an enemy of America is, I'm trying to remember it right, it's dangerous, but being a friend, I'm paraphrasing it, but being a friend is fatal, something to that effect. Yeah, and a lot of these countries are finding it out firsthand. All right, especially the, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, all these people that volunteered to have, satellite bases, and they got lit up, and it's like, okay.
Commit the worst mass genocide in history. So it didn't happen, but the genocidal intent was there for all to see. So now, on top of the fact, you have to ally with a partner that will not provide any security for you whatsoever. You have to ally with a partner where, if you ally with the partner, the world will hate you. And by the way, this endangers the lives of every American. The ceasefire won't stop this. The fact is, he declared he wanted to commit effectively genocide on 92 million people, an entire civilization. If that doesn't count as genocide, nothing else does. Well, there's a lot of people that want to say, no, you're not doing that, and I'm going to show you you're not doing that because I'm going to go hurt some Americans. So this is really an incredibly awful situation for the United States.
And they're going to start going after those rats too.
His traditional allies have begun distancing themselves from him, and that's clear in the language used and also how they see this conflict. They necessarily haven't taken the American side publicly, or even in many ways in the way they've talked about it. One thing that's come out in the New York Times this morning is how this war was sold on February 11th by Mr. Netanyahu to Mr. Trump, about how regime change was possible, how Iran's ballistic missile capabilities would be destroyed, and in fact they thought that Hormuz wouldn't be used as a chokehold point and neighbouring countries' damage would be minimal. John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, said this was farcical. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said it was BS. General Kane said it was standard operating procedure for the Israelis to oversell. It is utterly extraordinary, isn't it, that this was all ignored by the president?
Yes, yes. He bought the Israeli line, hook, line, and sinker, so to speak. And what this is going to do is have tremendous consequences in domestic politics inside the United States. So we were just talking about the international consequences. So point number one, President Trump is heading to become the lamest of lame ducks ever in American history, because this gigantic strategic defeat, on top of this moral issue of intent to commit effective genocide, is going to cause him to become radioactive with just about everybody in the GOP who's running for re-election, and even many who are not. I mean, this will be very, very difficult. But on top of that, now with the information coming out about the role of Israel, and basically Trump was his puppet, what you are seeing now is this will probably work tremendously to unwind support for Israel inside of the Congress. So up until now, you've seen in public opinion polls that support for Israel in the United States has been drifting away. And everybody's been saying, well, no, that won't really matter. Israel's providing, or through its puppets and so forth, money to the Congress. Well, hold it. Now, this is another story. You ally now with Israel having caused America's greatest strategic defeat. You can give these congressmen all the money you want. They're still going down in terms of public for the vote. I mean, so this is all about, can congressmen
everybody's going to be radioactive
in November. And tying yourself now to Trump, tying yourself now to Israel, that used to be a winning strategy for many
Not
politicians.
anymore.
This is going to become, you
Suicide.
talk about Europeans distancing, there's going to be domestic distancing here. And it's not just going to be distancing from Trump, it's going to be distancing from Israel precisely because of the story you just read.
So, when we talk about liability, how personally liable is this for Donald Trump on a global stage, but also domestically? There's been talk in the last few days of impeachment, articles being brought in. After the midterms, is it likely, is it potentially even possible that Trump gets impeached over this?
Well, if the Democrats win the House, almost surely he will be impeached before the gavel hits the table. I mean, this will happen in nanoseconds. But impeachment doesn't mean removal. You would need to have the 2/3 of the Senate agree to removal. And that always has been the limit of what we call impeachment, which where most people mean removal. That's why we have had the impeachment trials and so forth, but we have not actually had the removal. This is another. This will probably be a serious test case of that. I suspect that even the Democrats will probably want Donald Trump to stay around as a lame duck because he's the perfect Jimmy Carter, Lyndon Johnson to run against. He's so damaged and so weak. Why would Democrats want to allow a stronger Republican president to come in? Yeah, oddly enough, it's now the Republicans who have the most interest in removing Donald Trump and finding somebody else, a JD. It could be Rubio. It almost doesn't matter at this point. And it's interesting because now the Democrats, why did the Democrats want to abandon all the hitching the wagon of the GOP to Trump? I mean, this is just going to, this is like a reversal of interest here.
So,
And what you cannot discount is the possibility that Jake, because they're finally catching on to the Democrats, they might just say, fuck it. All right. And in order to hurt, it might not go the way everybody thinks it will. That's all I'm saying. Because Jake, is fed up. They've been led on by the Democrats for so long, and they're tired of this fear mongering tactic that they always use. Well, the Republicans this and Republicans that, and they see now. Well, what are you talking about? They didn't come after me like you said that they would. Not saying, salute the Republicans. They're both full of shit when it comes to us. No, I'm just saying you cannot. In other words, pay attention more to how Jake is going to vote in this because they've been trying so long to make Jake a non-factor. Hence the reason why they flooded or opened the borders during the last administration. That was no accident. As Dr. Claude Anderson said over 30 years ago, he warned about this. All right. These Democrats, unfortunately, Jake, it's too late, really. Hey, these prophecies are going to happen whether you want it to or not. And I, for one, am glad to see it so. So, whatever happens, let's see, 6 months from now, hey, wow, if we make it that long, I gotta say that because hey, it's getting hot out here, and hey, people are gonna start, especially with the economy the way it is, because of these gas prices, because they were drawn into this conflict or pushed into it, I should say, by the small hats. People are tired; they're feeling the squeeze, and mainly the people I'm talking about feeling the squeeze are these Edomites. They're not used to living like this. But it was all right since we were, quit complaining, okay, well, that's what we got to say to you. Quit complaining. Use those bootstraps you always tell us to use, work harder. all that.
When we look at the politics of this, will President Trump in future be known as the US president that lost the Middle East? Are we looking at a sort of a domino effect of maybe bases closing and slowly a sort of disintegration of American power in the region?
He's going to be known as the president that created a nuclear capable oil hegemon in the Middle East. Now, that means you could say lost the Middle East. That's
already
kind of
have
pushing
it.
it a little further out.
Israel.
The big thing that we see right in front of us, this will not be years away. We won't need history to judge, is that Iran has emerged as a nuclear capable oil hegemon, controlling more oil than any other state in the world.
Good.
20% is greater than America's. 16% is
Good.
double Russia's 11%. And that is an oil hegemon where Iran could actually exert even more dominance in the Persian Gulf. In the next few years, need to expect they will make great efforts to topple MBS.
Good.
That is the leadership in Saudi Arabia. You may find the leaders in Saudi Arabia kowtowing to Iran, which of course would be a complete reversal. Who could imagine that? Well, this is because the leaders in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, they're going to have to.
Just a moment, because something just occurred to me. Let me see if I can bring up. Let me see here, because these Israelis try to be sneaky. I just want to see something real quick. Let's see. All right, let's try this one. Let's see. God dang it. Okay. Let's see. Oh man, come on. That's not what I wanted. Salakia, bear with me here for a moment. Come on now. Okay. Now let's see. We'll try this one. All right, let's see. All right. All right. I'll let you know what I'm looking at here. Okay. So, you got the Persian Gulf here. You got the Strait of Hormuz right here. Now, what I am looking at is right here. Let me see if I can blow this up. All right. Here is Israel. And the reason I'm pulling this up, all right, this is giving them problems here, all right? So, let's see. What I am, see if I can blow it up even more. All right. All right. Because what Israel wanted to do for the longest time is the Ben Gurion Canal coming out just in case of something like this. They had foresaw this, believe it or not. So they don't have control of the Suez. All right, so let's look this up real quick. Ben Gurion, what's going on over there with them bombing Lebanon and driving out, practically exterminating the Gazans? This has a lot to do with it. Here is David Ben Gurion. This is the one that was going at it with Kennedy. And he abruptly resigned in, I want to say June of '63. All right, because Kennedy wanted them to subject themselves to inspection for nuclear weapons and all that, and register as, under FARA as foreign agents, and they refused. All right, here it is, David Ben Gurion. All right, we know who he is. I want the canal. So we know what we're talking about and what this is named, who this is named after of. It says, to what extent does the Ben Gurion Canal project influence the Gaza conflict and the international response to it? See? All right. The blogs, the Ben Gurion Canal, vision amidst upheaval. Born in the aftermath of the Suez Canal crisis of 1956, see? The notion of the Ben Gurion Canal resurfaces today. So, this has been going on for 70 years. All right. 70 years they've been wanting to do this. Gaza's genocide, the Ben Gurion Canal, and the politics. Let's see. Erasure by design, of course. And Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, is all up in this. All right. These people are psychopaths. Not sociopaths, psychopaths. Oh, man. Let's see. All right. Let's get out of this. I want to show you the planned. Here it is. Here it is. Here they got it right here. All right. And this was this year, January 23rd. See, everybody's starting to see, all right, Ben Gurion's Canal Project, Ethiopia's Ras Dumera, and securing the Southern Gate Sentinel, all right? I wish they had the whole thing because it comes out the Gulf of Aqaba. Let's see. Damn it. Nah. This is the first time, however, I heard anything about Ethiopia being involved, though. Let's see. It says the sheer engineering magnitude requiring moving billions of cubic meters of earth and potentially constructing locks for elevation changes along with political obstacles relegated the plan to the realm of fantasy for decades. However, the idea never fully died. It has experienced periodic revivals, often spurred by crisis that exposed the fragility of the Suez route, the week-long blockage by the Ever Given in 2021, and recently the persistent attacks on commercial shipping by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. Yeah. The Ben Gurion Canal is promoted as offering precisely that, an alternative lane to reduce global dependence on a single point, generate substantial toll revenue, boost Israel's strategic autonomy. See, this is what this is about. The U.S. and them ganging up because it's about control, and white supremacists hate it when they don't have total control. And make no mistake about it, this is still about so-called white supremacy. They just have yarmulkes on. It's the same people. They're Edomites, all right? See, they're playing these people here. Israel's recognition of Somaliland must be analyzed as this pathway. The motion was undoubtedly multi-motivated. You think? In security terms, it directly counters Iran's regional influence by establishing a partner across from Houthi-controlled Yemen. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. See, these some slick motherfuckers. All right? Yeah, this is what, like I said, this has been in I don't want to say the works because nothing physical, but the planning for this has been going on for 70 years now. That's why I brought this up. All right. So yeah. Well, this is another one. Let's maybe give you another look. I'm trying to get the whole pathway. All right. Let's see. The Straits of Tehran, Suez Canal. All right. Now this is what's going to get them. Let's see. 67 Arab-Israeli War, 56 Suez Crisis, which we just went over. Let's see if they have a. They don't show you the. I want the whole thing. What they plan, and I can't remember what that site I went to. It's been a few months now. damn it. And this is a totally different machine than I'm on, so I don't have it in, bookmarked or anything because it's on a different, God dang it. Oh, man. Don't look like I'm going to get a chance. Well, wait a minute. This is promising. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, like I said. God dang it, what is this? All right, here we go. And then I'm going to close it up. This is exactly what I was looking for. This is their plan. Look at here, where all this shit is kicking off. And they want to bring it down here, straight into the Gulf of Aqaba, out into the Red Sea. There you go. Finally found it. All right, it says Israel's aspirations to gain full control over the Gaza Strip and eliminate Hamas, which they are funding. It just came out, and it was in his own words how he was funding Hamas. I'm talking about Netanyahu. May be linked to an ambitious economic opportunity, the creation of the Ben Gurion Canal Project. All right, yeah, bypassing the Suez. All right, and so all that power won't be in the hands of Iran or the Houthis. See, like I said, these some slick motherfuckers. So it's a little bit more to it than they're letting on. But now you know. All right, let's see what else. Let's see, anything else here? Got about 3 minutes. Let's see what else he got to say.
They're going to have to seriously calculate, where is their survival? How do they survive? There's no survival with America. America's made it quite clear. There's no way America's protecting them. The best they can hope for is a nice palace here somewhere near Mar-a-Lago. That's the best they're going to get from America. They're not. So what you are seeing here is this is what Donald Trump will really be remembered for, and that's why this is a more devastating strategic defeat than Vietnam. Vietnam was losing a war against a minor country, but Vietnam never became a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh center of world power. This is what's happening, and Donald Trump caused it.
So, final question, really. How does Lebanon, Israel, and then I suppose the Gulf states as well, how do they come out of this? Because the Gulf states particularly are interesting in some ways because they put their faith in America, as you say. They had bases which is why one of the reasons they were attacked. They have put their faith in America. They had deals with Iran to some degree, but they've lost it on both counts. And then in terms of Israel is clearly saying, I'm not adhering to this ceasefire that's been negotiated. I'm going to continue bombing Lebanon.
Well, yes. So on my Substack, The Escalation Trap, I've just put out a big analysis of all the strategic implications. And I have, for days now, talked about what's happening with the Gulf states. So on The Escalation Trap, I've explained that what's happening is Iran's growing power is fracturing the Gulf coalition. So you're getting three pools of reactions. You're getting the reactions of states immediately bandwagoning with Iran. That's Iraq, and that's why Iraq's been able to cut some deals. Then you're getting those that are more in the middle, and that was Qatar and Oman. But if you follow the 10-point planning that you just listened to the Iranian leaders, they're now working with Oman. So Oman's gone from being neutral to the bandwagoner here. And then there's the third pool, which are the balancers, the remaining balancers, and that's, say, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, who have the biggest puddles of oil and gas. And so what you are seeing is they will be the most reluctant to bandwagon, because what bandwagoning means is they lose control over those resources. And so that is, but over time, you are going to see the shift toward bandwagoning, much the way that when America became a hegemon in North America, Canada effectively bandwagons with us. You see, it's just true. We don't like to talk necessarily in power terms. But
I'm going to shut it there. That's basically it. The point's been made. Just how bad America is fucked up. And it's still, it's still a lot to add to it, I should say. Because this is... This is an ongoing situation. All right. It remains to be seen just how bad America has fucked up. Just stay tuned. That's what I'm saying. All right. So with that, once again, this has been from the Trump Report. It says U.S. has suffered its worst strategic defeat since the Vietnam War. Professor Robert Pape. All right. So with that, once again, I hope whoever views the videos has been edified. It's what we aim to do here at Great Millstone. Filter everything through the scriptures. All right. Let you know that just how short a time that you actually have. All right. And again, to remind you to remain circumspect out here. Keep the eyes and ears open. All right. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.